click on recording. Please, everybody mute yourselves
Mhm.
and welcome to our vocational service training, which is, I guess we're in our second week now. I'm losing count on how many meetings we had. We've got 5 more after this to work on. So really glad you could join us. Had some great attendance, and hope everybody's engaged in learning. We're going to try to engage you today as well. Unfortunately, Emily Hudson, who is the chair for vocational service, fell ill and was unable to join us today. And so I will be making the presentation, and then Bill Chase and a couple others, as we have things that need to be filled in, they'll jump in, and we'll cover vocational service today. And again, please mute yourself. We've got somebody here who's chomping in the background. It's Judy. there you go, Judy. Thank you. If you have TVs on and radios on, turn them off. If you're eating breakfast, don't tell us what you're eating. I'll try to mute you so it doesn't, but at the same time, I'm recording the meeting. If you have questions you want to ask during this, we'll try to keep it fairly open. We've only had 37 people on, but if you would, please type your question in the chat box. So if you don't know where that is, most of you are Zoom experts now, since we've been on this for 3 months, together with all our meetings, and for 4 years with our Rotary Club.
Systems right now.
Okay, who's on the system? Mute yourself in there. I muted you again. You unmuted yourself. I'm going to mute you again. There we go. The chat box, if you move your cursor to the center of your screen on the bottom, that's where you type in, click on the chat box. If you want to raise your hand, you click on where it says, the 2 over there where it says participants. You actually can, a little hand sign will come up and raise your hand if you've got a question. But we'll make this as interactive as possible. I'm going to share my screen right now over here on, I think we'll jump into this one here. We go. And so vocational service.
Doesn't appear to be this one, so it must be that.
Okay, please mute yourselves. Ed, you're not muted. We are recording these, and appreciate if you mute yourself. Vocational service, it's one of our avenues of service in Rotary, and it's probably one of the oldest and maybe least understood, and it's probably most practiced, and we don't even realize we're doing it. But in Rotary, and Bill's going to pick up on a little further along here, but vocational service is part of Rotary, and originally in Rotary, and Bill will talk about this a little later, about how Rotary started with the classifications and doctors, lawyers, merchants, chief. I always say rich men, not necessarily poor, beggars or thieves, but every vocation is important and has great value. And so the object of Rotary, everybody knows about that, is the ideal service as a worthy enterprise. And number 2 on there is using high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of worthiness in all occupations, the dignifying of each Rotarian by, I should say, his or her occupation as an opportunity to serve society. And it's using that service that we have in our personal lives, our business lives, and for our community, and also locally and internationally. And that's the object of Rotary. I hope you each probably have a plaque on your wall of that. Okay, the next is the Rotary Code of Conduct. And as a Rotarian, I hope each of you will pledge to follow these. And so acting with integrity, high ethical standards in your personal life and your professional life. Dealing fairly with others, treating them and their occupations with respect. Using your professional skills through Rotary to help other people, to mentor young people, those with special needs, improve people's quality of life in your community and internationally. And so each of you have skills, whether that's leadership skills, whether that's from a craft or vocation, that you can share those with others. You've invested your life learning and having a career path, and that could be teaching, could be a nurse, a doctor. All professions have great value. And so sharing those with your community to make your community better is important. And avoid any behavior that would reflect badly on Rotary, other Rotarians, or your Rotary Club. The other thing that many clubs have, when you're
is on this training.
I'm going to mute Taco here. He's a little loud. Is the four-way test. At our regular breakfast, lunch, and dinner clubs, you often recite the four-way test. Often we have banners up in the clubs, and we go through this and practice of the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Asking ourselves as we make these decisions, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will be beneficial to all concerned? But I think more than just reciting the four-way test is that we exhibit that amongst our members, in our families, in our communities, so people see those things in action. Just saying the words or questioning others, whether they're practicing ethics or not, we should look internally that we show and lead the way and model the way on ethics. And so that's all part of vocational service and what we do and how we treat other people. And so we wanted to cover some things about what you can do as Rotarians in your club to deal with and use vocational service and put it into action, because Rotarians are action-oriented. The world sees us by what we do and contribute in our communities around the world. And so some of those things you're able to do in your own clubs, and you can do this whether you're, we'll share this PowerPoint with you, so I know you're taking photos of it, but we'll share this with you so you have it, is in our club meetings, each of our members have different professions and different experience. And we need to know what that experience is. And so things called a craft talk are normally done, especially with new members when they come in a club. But even with new members coming in, it might be interesting for them to know who else is in your club. We covered PR as on one of the, and brand management on one of the talks a day or two ago. And somebody else is muted, needs to mute themselves here with some background noise, please. And it's this INPJ keeps unmuting themselves. Please don't do that anymore. You just did. I'm muting you. Okay. The talk about your professions in there, because it would be nice for a new member to know what the other professions are of Rotarians in your club. And so talking about them at your Rotary meeting, you can do that virtually online right now. You don't have to wait to get back in person. So share your experiences. They're of value to other people in your club, and that learning about those professions. Wouldn't it be nice to know if you needed a contractor, a plumber, a lawyer? You might find those in a Rotary club in our district that could help you out. And you know they're going to have the highest ethical standards. So using each other, your professions, when you need help is important. And that's the value, some of the value we have. The other side of this value is that since we have members of all professions in there, we know that if we need to work in a school system, we might have the superintendent of schools or a school teacher in our club. If we need somebody in the legal profession, we might be able to find a lawyer or a contractor, those kind of things. So it's important. We could have the mayor, and some of our clubs do have mayors in them. If we need the connection with our cities and government or district attorney, if we want to get something done, we have the go-to people in Rotary. We are the go-to people in our communities. You are the go-to people in your communities. And we need to let them know we're Rotarians, we're following the four-way test, we have great ethics, we honor each other, and we have respect out there, and you are the community leaders. So use those skills in your service when you're out in your community and international. And so some of those, I'll mention one. The last day of the bottom here, the last day in April every year, is Rotarians at Work Day. Unfortunately, this year was canceled because of COVID-19. In the mountains up here in Mountain Sunrise Rotary, Lake Arrowhead, one of the members there, the contractors, started an organization called Christmas in April, and then joined in with the national one, Rebuilding Day. which fixes up homes and seniors and those in need to keep them warm, safe, and dry. And the contractors, plumbers, electricians, the carpenters, the roofers, and the major contractors donate their time for themselves and their employees to fix up homes that day. And they do an incredible amount of work for the community and change in the community. And other Rotarians and other citizens up here volunteer with them. And so those skills you give back are extremely important. The other one you see there is international. That same thing happens internationally when you can use vocational service on a vocational service team. And so we have different vocational training teams that we send out using our district designated funds and Rotary Foundation grants to send out our folks to do work internationally. We've sent teams of doctors and nurses on vocational training team to Haiti to work in clinics down there to train other doctors and nurses on women's health care, to be able to do pap smears and identify cancer and do surgeries when necessary, or teach them how to do mammograms and protect women. Those are examples. Last year, I think we sent one over on a vocational training team to Africa to work on a water project. And so we had some engineering backgrounds there that worked on water that could use their experience and trade in these. So let people know what your vocations are and think about those in your club meetings on how you can use those better in your own community and connecting with you. You each are so darn knowledgeable. You probably share it and don't even realize you're doing it, but let's put it underneath the Rotary wheel and share it with your Rotary pin on that we are leading the way to help our communities. I'm getting some feedback from somebody there. Practice your vocation with integrity. And that should be pretty easy, but we need to think about it. Debbie, can you please mute yourself?
Working on it.
Can't see it. There, okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so when you're dealing with customers, when you're dealing with other professions, I know sometimes we can get upset about things, but at the same time, make sure that we're dealing with integrity and dealing with each other. Our word should be our bond. If we give our word, that should be the biggest thing we stand for and dealing with people every day. Walk the talk. And I mentioned before the 4-way test. It's one thing to recite it, but it's the other thing to live it. And we should be sharing that with our children. We should be sharing that in our school systems. And I'll mention that in a moment, how you do that. But integrity should be top of the line here about and ethics that we work on. Help people achieve their goals. So if you have an Interact club that's got some goals out there and they need some help in an area with a service project, with integrity, showing them hands-on, working with them, and or other folks in your club here that need to work on goals is important. The development of others in their professional lives. That means that your club could put on vocational training classes, skills level training, and support those. You don't have to have the knowledge to put it on necessarily, but you could have a program on that for your community members on professional skills development and some leadership skills, and put that underneath the Rotary name as a project. Let me get to the next slide here. There we go. And I'm going to be mentioning a few more things when we go back on these as we go forward here. I know many of you probably do this already. We have almost 90, I think over 90 Interact clubs in our school systems. I think we're more than any other Rotary district. And you have connections with the leaders and teachers and in these schools. And I'm sure that they're every year in the high schools particularly, they do mock interviews and they're looking for community leaders to be the interviewers. please raise your hand and jump in on those, and go to your schools and volunteer your time to interview these students. Those mock interviews for them change their lives. They need to know how to interview before they show up for their first job interview, and you help that situation. And you have experience in it. A lot of you are employers and need people in your line of work. And so it would be nice for you to help train the ones that are going to end up working for you. And I'm going to. Oh, we're going to get to career days and career development. Many of our clubs are already engaged in working with the school systems on career days and career development. At up here in the mountains and Rim of the World school system, we have a continuation school called Mountain High School. About 10 years ago, Jim Manson, one of our Rotarians up here, many of you knew Jim, he lost his life to ALS, but started a program with me on career building, on career classes, with 8 classes and training to help those continuation school students learn what a business was, learn about themselves, learn how to interview, learn how to write a resume, and learn about different businesses and vocations with community leaders, as well as a great training in mock interviews. And one of those students happened to be Adam Lane. He was in continuation school. And one of the interviewers was Rory Bomber. He's past president of Mountain Sunrise Rotary. And he owns Twin Peaks Auto. He interviewed Adam and hired Adam in to work for him. Adam now manages his whole shop, Twin Peaks Auto. Adam is probably going to inherit that business. And he's also going to school for full-time, getting his college degree, which he'll get next year. And he's a Rotarian now in Lake Arrowhead Mountain Sunrise Rotary, and has been their youth chair. Very involved in Rotary and giving back. But that one mock interview changed his life forever. That's the power you have in your hands with our young people in vocational service. So share those talents. It's extremely important.
Did you tell them that when the 2 sides were lined up?
Yeah. So
in the
yeah.
gym?
So one of those is also for the students to know. Part of the mock interview was where we have, let's say, 20 students and 20 business leaders, and at the end of the interview process, the students introduce themselves, and then the adults introduce themselves, and all of a sudden they realize that the bank president, the board, these leaders of different parts of society have come to them. And all this time, these students had felt like they had no value in life. They were told they had no value, and they were throwaway kids. That's the change you can make in these folks' lives. So it's extremely important. Many of you are in business, and you can have students join you there in job shadowing. And they can learn a little bit about your workplace and more about their jobs. I mentioned vocational training teams. I know we have clubs that also do awards out to other businesses outside of Rotary in their communities. One of those can be giving out a vocational service award to a business in your community that has high ethical standards, is well respected, and you probably also get that person in the Rotary as a Rotarian or their leadership. But it's a good way to show that we stand for ethics in business and support our business in that way. And it raises awareness that you'll get some public recognition about this in your local newspaper, on local news, about the importance of ethics in our business practices. Many of you have businesses where you could employ either high school students and or college students in a mentorship program or internship programs. And particularly, I think we need to link into our Rotaract clubs. We have a few in our district. Those college students need some experience. They don't need, and you can put them on some special jobs because they're pretty sharp folks that we have out there in our colleges. And to use those in your business to help you will be a great learning for them, and you'll get some great mileage out of them working in your businesses. So that's the internship program. Now I'm going to touch on a little bit on four-way test speech competition, and Linda White is on here. Linda, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I'm unmuted now.
Okay. Okay. Linda is our four-way test speech competition chair for our district. Would you mention a couple things about that, please, Linda?
Absolutely. Well, you know, I think one of the greatest benefits of this four-way speech contest is just the opportunity to have these students practice their public speaking skills in a competition with an audience. So many of us know that in our work, there's a lot of our job skills that are related to being proficient at public speaking, and truly we only get better at it by practicing it, by doing it. And four-way speech contest is a way to introduce our high school students to Rotary and the four-way test and all that the four-way test stands for, and the importance of the four-way test, as it's been said, the integrity of being a Rotarian. It also gives the opportunity for our club members to interact with these, you know, really talented young people, and you know, they get a monetary if they place high in the speech contest, you know, they get some money to be able to use to further their education or whatever their interests are. But mostly I think it's really just a great platform, and all these students are able to weave the four-way test into things that really matter to them, things that are going on in their lives, in our world. And if you haven't ever been to a contest, I really encourage you to do it. You know, we were caught right in the middle of the COVID restrictions for most of our club's four-way speech contest this year. But we'll be ready for Plan B if we need to do everything virtually come 2021. Our hope would be that we wouldn't, but if we need to, we will. But I certainly have had, you know, this was something that Melanie Rice really felt was so important, and she was the one that asked me if I would chair this contest for the district. So it's been my honor to do that, and it's been very rewarding for me.
Okay, thanks, Linda. And what as you put this on, and you can touch base with Linda more about the exact extent of this, but you would normally do a four-way test speech competition amongst students that you've picked from your school system in your own club. And from that, you'll send somebody on to the district competition. Is that correct, Linda?
Yes, that's exactly correct. Yes.
Okay, so all your clubs should be involved in this some way, even if you meet virtually. That's a good experience for our students. And Linda, thank you for leading the way on this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The second one in there is music competition. This has been going on for a while, and it's a competition with vocal and instrumental. And again, this is something you do with your schools, and you can have your own competition at the school, and supports music and the arts, which are extremely important for our children to learn. And you actually, we know that as our students learn more about music, they do better in math, they do better in reading, they're better students, and it gets them really connected out there. So supporting the arts is extremely important to help us in our programs with our youth. Again, you do the competition as a club at your school. You can make it a community event. That's another thing that you'll get in your local newspaper, that Rotary supports the arts in your school and support your schools. And then you'll send another person, a winner from your vocal and instrumental, on to the district. And Marty Treckman is the chair of that. I don't think Marty's on with us. in a minute when we're done with this. So
It has to do with district.
I know we're going to show a little video on this too. So and we'll cover this a little more in just a second here. The next one there is to remember that coming up in we have theme months in Rotary. Every month has its own theme, and January happens to be the vocational service month. So think about that if you want to do a special project that comes up in January. And then the last of this slide, we're going to jump over to a couple of videos and then share some other information here and get you more involved in the conversation. Each of you, of your clubs, somebody in your club has access to Rotary Club Central on Rotary.org. On Rotary.org, please go to Rotary.org, Rotary Club Central, usually your secretary, your club president, and see who else has access into Rotary Club Central. In there, you should be entering your goals, not just for vocational service, but for everything from membership on, foundation, each of these avenues of service. Please enter your vocational service goals in there. And that also, and then your achievements. Part of this in entering in Rotary Club Central is extremely important because when you enter those goals in there, number one, you're setting goals. Number two, you're marking your achievements and you're valuing your members' donations of their time. And so you're going to put in there how much you donated in materials, dollars, but you're also going to put the hours and the value of those hours that your Rotarians have donated. So if you have somebody that's normally gets $100 an hour for their work in a trade, that's the value of their hour. A teacher, what's the value of a teacher's hour? You know what those are. Put those in there. And then Rotary accumulates that from our 35,000 Rotary clubs around the world. And they're able to say our Rotarians not only donated X number of dollars to the Rotary Foundation or polio, but we've donated the value of $1 billion in the last year in service to our communities, as well as additional monies that we've donated in materials, not just time. So time and materials. And letting the world know what we're doing. And it also lets your members know that you value their time. So you tell in your meetings, this is what we've donated for this project. Not just we gave a check out to somebody for materials, but the value of the time our Rotarians have given in service locally and internationally. And please don't diminish that. It's very, very important. The second piece of this is on our Visit Rotary website. There's a calendar in there for your club. Please, each of our clubs, we need each of us to do a better job putting every event we have out there, not just fundraisers, but our service projects, so that we can help each other when we have a service project. Our 63 Rotary clubs here should be linked together, volunteering and working on projects together on vocational service. This is an opportunity for you to share your talents and learn more about your clubs, other clubs in our district and other Rotarians, so you can help each other. And that helps us, the strength we have and the reach we have and the lives that we can change and you can change together in your communities. It's amazingly valuable. So please put those on there, your service projects, what you're going to do, and also what you need. So people can go in there and maybe, Barry, we need to create a needs list. We need more help in this area from somebody. And it's a way for us to go in there kind of like a job posting to get in these areas. And I think, I'm going to do this and then we're going to jump over to a couple quick videos and then open it up for discussion. Barry, your governor here has set some goals to achieve in his citation requirements. And so you need to get 2 of these in order to achieve the citation. Either participate in the 4-way test speech competition, participate in the music contest, the district, have an ethics program at your club meeting. And the best way to do this is call up Eileen Popka. She's our ethics chair for the district. Eileen will be glad to come out and schedule and come out to your meetings or right now online and talk about ethics. And she is an expert on ethics. And she also teaches at RLI. Please contact Eileen. She's an expert in this. Get involved holding a career day that your club can support, bringing community leaders together It could be in a school auditorium for students to go around. It could be a presentation type thing. It could be a variety of things here that show our students out there what career paths they might go into and what they need, helps them stay in school and get better grades and get involved in mock interviews. And please, that last Saturday in April, participate in Rotarians at Work Days. Karen, stand up, please. Turn around.
Oh.
She wore this shirt special for you, so you might each, and yeah, pull your shirt down there. There we go. So many of you in your clubs probably have Rotarian at Work shirts. Wear those out there proudly when you're doing this work, and so we know that that our Rotarians are out there working. And so I'm going to jump out of this, and let me get over to this for a second.
Ready? How come I don't have it? Wait, how do I get to that? What happened to me? How do I get there?
Oh, wait a second. Can you hear that?
Everybody's muted. They don't.
Okay. I turned the video on, but it didn't share properly. It's in my ear, but not in yours.
There it is.
Okay, I'm gonna start this over, so I apologize.
I still can't hear it.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. That apparently you can't hear that. I apologize for that.
She said take your earphones out. See if that makes a difference.
No, it's okay. We'll okay. I've got it. Okay, I got to get out of that. I apologize for that. Whoop, everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for that. Some reason I couldn't get the sound going on it. My bad. I will put those up on our. All these videos are going to be posted on YouTube under Rotary. Visit Rotary District 5330, and I'll add those 2 videos in there so you can watch those. They're nice little clips to see. Okay, I've got 22 things over here. Okay. Jim Smith posted in here that San Bernardino County Fire Chief Dan Muncy is a member of Downtown Rotary and will be able to present. You probably have many of connections. Judy, were you referring to Adam Lane to speak to your club?
Yes, I got his name. I'll look him up in DACTV. Thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. I guess Karen got to you. See who else had a question here. Is there a date? I guess Linda and Marty will be able to put out a date for when the district speech contest and music competition are. They should be on the district calendar. that I'm guessing, Barry, that'll be on Visit Rotary on the website under district. Is that correct? Yep. So he gives a thumbs up to that. So that's where you'll find that. Let's see. Oh, so the monthly themes, we'll get those to you. Our Rotary.org, if you go into monthly themes, they should have it too on the calendar. Maybe the district does as well. Oh, there it is. Linda put something on there. Page 24 of the new district directory. And the clubs will be getting those in the next couple weeks here. Okay, I'm going to turn that down. Okay. Bill Chase.
I'm here, Rudy.
Okay. Do you have additional comments, please, or things you'd like to add?
I do. I'd like to say a little bit about the classification system that Rotary instituted. It was actually indirectly instituted when Paul Harris founded our great organization back in 1905, when he involved 4 other businessmen who were unrelated to law that Paul was involved with to join him and rotate meetings every week. When I joined Rotary some 47 years ago, I didn't know what the classification system was until I asked a well-seasoned Rotarian in the Adrian, Michigan Rotary Club, what is the classification system? And he said, well, we can take one person that represents either one business or profession, and that's it. Then as time went on and Rotary grew, they had to make more clubs had to make more room for other members, so they took in an additional active member. But today, in the manual procedure, which is a book that is published after every council legislation session, usually in April every 3 years, they have Article 11 under Section 1 classification, that each member shall be classified in accordance with the member's business, profession, or type of current community service. And down below in Section 2, they have limitations. And it says, a club shall not elect a person to active membership from a classification if the club already has 5 or more members from that classification, unless the club has more than 50 members, in which case the club may elect a person to active membership in a classification so long as it will not result in the classification making up more than 10% of the entire club's membership. So we still have restrictions, but we're now able to take in more people who represent multiple businesses or professions.
I think that only is for dentists if there's a limit.
It's like pulling teeth to get in, but anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we have some questions or comments out there. If you're doing something already in a club that you're doing a vocational service project, we try not to step on each other. Please tell us what it is so that other people will learn from your sharing.
Rudy?
Yes.
Can you mention Joseph?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Ricardo.
One of the things that is amazing about Rotary is how interconnected these activities really are. For example, a great way to pay attention to vocational service is to honor businesses in the community. Maybe have a quarterly or periodically an outstanding business award. We've done that over the years, not on a regular basis, but on a periodic basis. And what you find is that you create bonds. You might even attract new Rotarians. But, you know, a real example is this little Mexican restaurant that is called Los Pepes in Palm Desert. We gave them a little plaque. They are so proud of that plaque. They have it prominently displayed It has attracted Rotarians to their business. And then, you know what? When we have fundraisers, they are very willing to participate with gift certificates. So there are collateral complementary benefits that are associated with practicing some of these vocational tips that you indicate. So thanks for mentioning those things.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. Steve Morford, could you mention about how to set up a music competition, please? Steve, can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry about that.
Here you go.
Yeah, the first thing I think you want to do is get a copy of the 2020 district rules. Is there a way, after this meeting, if I send you an electronic version of those, is there a way to either send it out or post it somewhere?
Yes, if you will send those over to Elizabeth, then she'll send those out with an email on this PowerPoint. So,
what's Elizabeth's last name?
Gibbs.
Gibbs. Thank you.
I just put my email address in the chat room.
Oh, okay, thank you. As Rudy kind of alluded to, there are three categories. You've got piano, vocal, and instrumental. And you really need to start planning by late summer, in my opinion. Now, Riverside does it a little differently than some of the others because we have 4 clubs that form a coalition to do it. So then you need a committee. So we draw members from all 4 clubs. One of the first things I would do is find a venue for your local competition because there may be costs associated with that. And when you get the literature out, you have to have a date to tell people that it's going to be held on. So I would start the facility search very early. In Riverside, the last few years, we've used Cal Baptist, but a high school would work. You might be able to use a church. You have to have the local competition usually done by the end of February because there's a deadline shortly after that for the district applications. And the district finals are typically, unless COVID intervenes, are going to be in April and May. And as many of you have probably seen, the winners of the finals are going to perform, if we have a normal year, at the district conference. Once we locate a facility, then we plan a budget. The budget we had this last year, which included the expectation of donations, we had $1,300 we split between the 4 clubs. We had prizes for the top 3 performers in each of the 3 general categories. When you get closer, you're going to need judges. We use panels of at least 3 judges for each of the contest areas, and it's typically it's a mix of Rotarians who have a background or people who've worked with Rotary in the past, who have like a retired music teacher from one of the high schools. The other thing you've got to start on and disseminate before Thanksgiving is the literature. You have to get things out to all the high schools. We also disseminate information through the the Piano Teachers Association, which is very active. And the students need time to get organized and get prepared. So you can't do it at the last minute. In the finals, they're going to be expected to have memorized all the pieces. We don't require that at our local competition, but some of them are already there. We have some of our piano students who just show up without any score music. I know we're on a time budget, so that's quick. Are there any questions?
I think one of the things also, Steve, thank you for that, was even though we're locked down right now and doing things online, even if schools don't start back up right in September, you can reach out. there are students. I saw a music performance for an online graduation from the students playing each different instruments from their own homes, linked up, doing a concert for that session. So they can do things online. There's ways to do these things. We have to be creative. And so don't be afraid to reach out, because these students also right now, keep them busy. Get in touch with them. And a lot of you know where your music students are anyways. Thanks, Steve. Bill,
Rudy,
could you mention
Rudy?
it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, with regards to the music competition and the four-way speech, normally we've always had the presentation at the district conference, but because we're on a cruise ship this year, we are still trying to figure out how we can highlight the winners and have some type of an event for them in the district. So please, I'm encouraging everybody to continue as normal with these speech contests and the music competition, and we'll get it figured out how we're going to be able to do a district function to able to highlight the winners.
Thanks, Barry.
I have one more comment. Just to follow up on what you said, Rudy, I think it would be a great idea to make sure if you have a committee, have one or two people on the committee who really have some technical skills in case you have to do virtual contests.
No, that's great. Good idea. Good idea. Or you could do is 2 or 3 clubs together, maybe in an area that we're similar to. So there may be some learnings there to be had. Yeah, don't do what I did today, trying to show a recording without the sound on. Bill Chase, does your club help with a job shadowing day or partnership with Palm Springs High School?
We do, yes. We have it every year. And we enlist the help of the school teacher in recruiting interested students who would like to avail themselves of the opportunities. And we reserve a Tuesday morning to do that, where there are probably 8 volunteers from our club that go over to the high school, pick up their respective student, take them to their interested point of business, and then at noon, bring them back to the school. And at some later date, we ask 2 or 3 of those students to come and give a presentation as to the benefits that they derive from having done that. Very successful.
Yeah, super. How many in here have ever done mock interviews? Got quite a few hands. Judy Graham, tell me about that experience, please. Unmute yourself.
I have done that both while I was teaching at the middle school level, and then I've also experienced it at RILA, which was hugely successful. I was so proud of the kids and how they innately helped one another to speak up about the positive qualities that they had that could be marketable. They turned that shyness around and were able to get one another to speak up very positively about themselves. And because they were colleagues or peer coaches, this was really successful.
Yeah, super. Thank you. Linda, you raised your hand there too. Could you make a comment? Linda White?
Yes, so the Corona-Norco Unified School District works with their high school students and the business community, and to do a job fair. And so what we've been doing is having the mock interviews at the job fair that's been being held on the Norco College campus for the last about 4 years. So that's been a really great way for the students to be interviewed by professionals that are currently in the occupation that these young students aspire to go into. And then there's also been breakout sessions where students can go to hear panel discussions in the different topic areas that they're interested in looking for career opportunities. So that's been a really nice community-wide endeavor that Rotary has worked with other individuals in the community.
Yeah, super. Thanks, Linda. Martha, you had your hand up. You can unmute yourself there. There you go.
Well, I had the opportunity this year to participate in the RILA interviews in the different high schools here in San Bernardino. And then, you know, it was a nice experience to be meeting with all these kids. And we find that there is a lot of potential in them to become Rotaracts or, you know, interacts. And then what I feel is that after they come back from the RILA, there is no follow-up on these kids. These kids, they come very excited to know about Rotary, that they were in these places, but we're not taking the opportunity to go back and, you know, go in the different high schools and engage these kids. But it was a very, very good experience doing all these interviews. And I want to ask you for 1 minute, please, to tell you about some project that I'm working with El Salvador. There was a very disaster in El Salvador. Plus of the pandemic, we had 2 different storms there. And I have a fundraise where $20 is feeding for 15 days a family. If you in your clubs can help, I'm working with the food bank in El Salvador and a Rotary Club in El Salvador. And then please, if you guys can help some families, it's only $20 for 15 days. The basic, you know, bags that we are putting together is like 25 to 30 pounds of food. Please, if you can help, I will appreciate and thank you very much.
Martha, would you put your email address, please, in the chat box, and then people can reach out to you.
Sure.
One of the other things I'd like you to do, please, is look at your scholarship programs. A lot of our clubs have foundations, 501c3s, and they do fundraising, and they give out scholarships for students going to college. I will ask you this. There's a huge need today for our students. Not everybody needs to go get their bachelor's degree. We need qualified people in the tech areas and their high-paying jobs that they could go to a technical school and learn a career path that they could earn money right away when they get out. And some of those are supported by the trade industries as well, and for that matter, probably some of the labor unions. So please support the technical development of our kids, those high-tech jobs, whether, you know, auto techs today have to know computer skills and a variety of other things that we didn't have to, as Bill said 100 years ago when he was started in Rotary. And so think about that when you're doing your scholarships, and see if there are some of those kids that are in need that really would change their lives with those scholarships, not just adding $1,000 on somebody that's going to a $25,000 a year school, that you're really doing something that's going to really impact their life. You have the power in your hands in your clubs to change a life every day for students. You never know what that's going to mean to them. So please think through that process, if you would, please. They'll appreciate it. Let's see where we are. We're about 4 minutes left on our meeting. Any other questions or comments, please?
Rudy, I
Yes.
wanted to let you know that the San Bernardino Club for many years has worked with the Salvation Army. It's been a very effective program, and my vocational chair this year works for the Salvation Army. His name is Steve Pinkney, and he's Martha's son. Martha's here also, and so I was wondering if we have a giveaway program, and I think Steve is well aware of that. Maybe he could share a few comments. If not, he's new to Zoom, but it's something that's very vital, and that's why he's our vocational chair. But he's obtained a lot of great information today, Rudy. I want to thank you personally for chipping in and making it a successful.
Thanks, Jim, on that. Okay, I know that San Bernardino's had this shoe program, and in fact, we participated in. It's a great program where they, unfortunately, with the shoe store that they were using, has closed down, so they're trying to find a different location. I think I don't know if they've located something, but it's a great program. So connect with that Rotary Club, and please reach out and share your good work. Put it up. Please put these things up. Whether it's in your own newsletter going out to your different club. I think you should have your newsletters. I don't know how many here do a newsletter, but if you have a newsletter, share that with the other Rotary clubs in our district, talking about in there about the projects you do so we can learn from each other. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Our clubs are doing tremendous work that you each are doing out there. Share that information with your fellow Rotarians in your monthly newsletters so that they know, so they can reapply it for their communities and or their schools. Please do that. Elizabeth?
Yes, sir.
I think we're about finished here. I hope everybody had a good understanding. We had some little discussion there. Please reach out. And I know Emily is will value your opinion. She is new to that position this year, and wants to support you. All of our district leadership team wants to help our clubs. You are their customers, and please connect and share with her. Please use Linda White on the four-way test speech competition, Marty Treckman on the music competition, Eileen Popka on ethics, and reach out to your clubs, and any information you need from me or connections or through Barry or Bill Chase, we can help you get connections out there across the district if you need them. We appreciate each of you. We appreciate your Saturday morning here for an hour. Please be safe and take care of yourselves out there. And we have another full week next week of trainings. Please join us for those. And
Community service is Wednesday night, Rudy, and then youth service is Thursday night.
Okay, and then next Saturday, we have the Rotary Foundation at 9, followed by grants management at 10. That class overfilled at 100. And so we opened up a second class for Monday night, the 22nd in the evening, so that every club could get 2 people qualified on grants management so that you could use your DDF, which I think is important for you, unless you want Elizabeth to use all your DDF. So please go to those classes. If you have any notes you want to email me or Elizabeth or anything you see we need to talk about something else or have improvements in this process. We are brand new in doing this online, but we think it's working, and we want to enhance it and make bigger and better connections so each of us can learn more about Rotary across our district, and we can make positive change in our communities that really changes lives. And our young people are a very core of that with your vocational training. So thank you for your time, and be safe out there, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Terrific.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you, Rudy.
You're welcome.
Bye.